Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another exciting Saturday night wine stream and another exciting adventure of Drink with Rick. I'm Rick, and tonight we are going to open a Les Jamelles. I think that's how it's pronounced. Les Jamelles Pinot Noir. This is a 2018. It's a product of France. Why are we not surprised? Pinot Noir from France. Who knew, right? I've been drinking a lot of Pinots lately. Not a bad thing. I'm kind of liking some of these Pinots, some of them anyway. So we're going to try this one, see how it tastes, and see how it pairs up with some foods, some interesting foods. If you're just joining me, of course, this is Drink with Rick. This is a stream of consciousness kind of show. I do have some show notes here in front of me, but for the most part, we just open up the wine, review it, taste it, talk about stuff. I am not a sommelier. I'm not a wine expert. I'm just a person who likes to drink wine. I know what I like to drink. And, I'm like 95, 98% of everybody else out there that likes wine, but is not a wine expert, but I know what I like to drink and I know what tastes good to me. I know what works with my palate and with the foods that I pair with. So that's what I go with. And I review the wines. I give them an honest review, an honest take of what I think is good or what I don't think is good. And we have had a few wines that have not passed the test, my taste test in the past. A lot of them have. A lot of them I have finished the bottle. A couple of them I have dumped the bottles down the sink, or what was left of them. But for the most part, I mean, that's what I do here. Now I talk about wine. I talk about a lot of other stuff. We just talk about all kinds of things. I talk about things in the chat with you. And if you're just joining me in the chat, please join in and tell me how you're doing. Join in the chat. You know what? I had a watch party going here, but I closed the page for that watch party. So to be honest, I'm not really looking at that chat line here. But I am looking at the chat on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch. I am up on Twitch. I am up on Periscope and Twitter. So we've got, if you want to join me on any of those venues and talk to me, chat with me, tell me what you're doing, how your week has gone, and what you're drinking or what you're not drinking, what you'd like to be drinking, or what you'd like to see me drink. Join in, and because this show isn't about me, it's kind of about the wine, but it's mostly about us, you and me together, doing it all together. That's what Drink with Rick is about. Now, this isn't Drunk with Rick, okay? So if you're looking to see me finish off a bottle of wine tonight, that's not going to happen. I'm not planning on it anyway. But this is Drink with Rick. So we're talking about drinking responsibly, but having a good time. Just getting together and having a good time. Anyway, so that's what it is. If you're joining me for the first time, that's what the show is about. I might ramble on. I'm rambling on about this, aren't I? But that's what I do here. This is a stream of consciousness show. You can, of course, catch me on drinkwithrick.com. We are live on drinkwithrick.com. Took a little bit of doing for me to get that done tonight because for some reason the website's loading kind of slow, and I'm going to have to look into that. But you can chat with me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, on Twitter. There is no direct chat set up on the website at Drink with Rick, but you can watch the video and you can comment in below the video if you'd like to do that, and I'll respond to your comments. I will. You can also contact me, Rick at SavoyaMedia.com. That's Rick at SavoyaMedia.com. SavoyaMedia.com. If you want to talk about wine, you want to talk about whatever. If you want to give me some feedback on the show, if you want to send me a donation, I'll take donations. I don't have a Patreon set up, but donations for wine. If you want to send me a bottle of wine to taste and review, do that. If you want to recommend a bottle of wine for me to taste and review, as long as it's within my budget, I'm not going to be reviewing any $200 wines or anything like that. That's not what we do here. A little bit out of my budget, but actually that's a lot out of my budget. All right, I usually cap it at about $20-$25, sometimes $30 if I'm really compelled to do that. But most of the time, I try to keep the wines down the cost of the wine down somewhat, because most people that are going to drink a bottle of wine, they're going to go out and they're going to get like a $5, $10, $15, $20 bottle of wine to go with dinner, maybe something special for if the boss is coming over for dinner, or if you're having some special company or over, some special guests, or if you're having a dinner party of some sort, or a special event, like a wedding or an anniversary or something like that, then you might order a really expensive bottle of wine. But for the most part, I find that a lot of people will stick to the $10 to $20 wines, and sometimes $25 a bottle. And if you're drinking alone, sometimes we go with the cheap stuff, don't we? Because, we're just drinking for us, right? Let's see. The podcast, too. If you're watching you can watch this after the fact. And, of course, you can listen to us on the podcast. The podcast goes out on Monday nights at 10 p.m., drinkwithrick.com. And you can hear the podcast pretty much everywhere podcasts are heard. And you can catch it there later. Okay, so without further ado, let me see who's in the chat. Anybody joining us in the chat? Nobody in the chat, really. Wokes family is here. How you doing, Wokes family? Great to see you. I'm happy that you joined us. Stick around and tell me how you're doing, and tell me what you're drinking, or what you'd like to be drinking. Tell me how things are going. And anybody in? Let's see. No one really on Twitch. And we have a couple of people watching on Twitch. No real commenters. And with Twitter, who knows? It's it's a wild card. I am getting some notifications on Twitter. So, yeah. I think Tommy's watching me on Twitter. So Tommy, thanks for checking me out on Twitter. And my lovely wife, Cheese, in the chat. Hi, Chi. Hi, honey. And tonight for dinner, we had cheese chili. She made a really great chili. It's just that chili was a little bit spicy for me tonight, so I'm kind of feeling a little bit. So I might be going a little easy on the wine and some of the other foods that we have here to pair with. I've got the Tums with me. I took one earlier, but I brought the Tums with me. That's not a product endorsement, by the way. I'm just saying. I have some handy. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and open the wine and see what it's all about. Before we do that, let's go ahead and, without further ado, before we open the wine, let's learn a little bit more about it. Now, this is what I picked up. Let me give you a shot of this. This is a Les Jamelles Pinot Noir. It's a Pays d'Oc 2018. Pays d'Oc is the region that the wine is from, which happens to be from France. And it's a product of France. And if 20%, let's see. Oh, it's a new eco-friendly bottle. 20% glass. So I guess it's either 20% glass and 80% something else, or 20% recycled glass, or I don't know. They don't really specify. It just says it's good for our planet. We'll see. Okay, but let me go ahead and look at the back of this bottle. Let's take a look at the back of this bottle a little bit, if I can pull that up. This is the back, and I'm going to read this to you so you'll know what's in here. It says, Les Jamelles, artisans du vin du Sud de la France, Pinot Noir, Pays d'Oc, indication géographique protégée. I'm not known for my French, okay? I'm known for drinking French wines, but I'm not known for speaking French. This Pinot Noir was made with grapes grown in southern France's Pays d'Oc region. This is a fine, elegant wine with lovely aromatic complexity. Notes of raspberry, blackcurrant, and cherry jam complemented by a slight hint of spice or cumin and cedar wood. It is best served at 60 degrees Fahrenheit with, is that charcuterie? Charcuterie? I don't know how to pronounce it. White meats and mild cheeses. This is imported by Maritime Wine Trading Collective in San Francisco, California, and it's 13% alcohol by volume in this 700 50 milliliter bottle. Now, as you know, it may not be necessarily 13%. Originally, and this was actually recommended to me at Winestore. I picked this up at Winestore, winestore-online.com, our local wine store, which is in Blakeney, which is the one I usually shop at. And this was recommended to me. And as a matter of fact, Trish in the wine store, and she's not in here tonight, but Trish had recommended another wine to me. It was a Cabernet Sauvignon, and it's down the back, in the back where you can't see it. But back in the back where I've got this, and for some reason I've got that sitting there. There we go. Now my set's complete. Forgot to move that before, didn't I? Anyway, so back there is a little bottle of a Cabernet. It's 2018. And she said that they were trying this out. They were tasting it when I came in Thursday, I believe we were tasting it. Had a little slight taste. Oh no, it was on the wine bar, and on the machine, and I tasted a little bit of it. And she recommended that I open it up and try it out. I think they just got that in, but I could not find any information on it anywhere. I couldn't find anything on this wine or what was in it. In the meantime, this Pinot caught my eye, and I thought, well, I'd kind of like to try this. I'm kind of in the mood for Pinot. Besides, that was 15% alcohol there, so I wanted to keep it lower than that. I want to keep it down to 13%, which I think was the perfect choice for tonight, I believe. We'll find out, because I have not tried this. I have not tried this wine. I've just heard that it's a pretty decent wine. Anyway, so when I went to the web to check it out, I was pricing it out on the web, and it seems to be going everywhere. Winesearcher.com, and let's see, that's going for about $10 a bottle. I purchased it now at Wine Store. I have the receipt here. Wine Store, I purchased it for $9.99 a bottle. It looked like it was about 3 cents cheaper at Total Wine, but that thing is, I pulled up the Total Wine, and it said $9.97, but it doesn't say the year. So this could have been last year's wine or something, and it doesn't say it was specifically 2018. So to be fair, I'm going to go by what I paid for it here, $9.99. It seems to be going rate per bottle. Although I have looked, let's see, where else did I see a little bit higher than that? I looked at Vivino. Vivino had it priced out at $14.99 a bottle, $15. So I think I like $9.99 better. Of course, we'll try it and see if it turns out it tastes like a $15 bottle of wine, whatever a $15 bottle of wine tastes like. Then maybe I'm getting a real bargain, huh? We'll see. We'll find out. Anyway, so let's go ahead and open this bottle of wine. And to do so, and of course tonight I don't need my trusty corkscrew, mechanical corkscrew, because this is a screw-on cap. So that was easy, wasn't it? And I'm going to use my trusty Veneto aerator, the Veneto Wine Lover set. $19.99. I purchased the whole set from Amazon, but you can actually buy the piece alone here, and I think it's like $15 or something like that. But and then of course, the glass I'm using is my trusty Cooper's Hawk genuine crystal wine glass from the Cooper's Hawk Winery and Restaurant in Orlando, Florida, which we'll be going back to Orlando in about 6 weeks for PodFest 2020. And any of my PodFest fans, any of my PodFest friends, I should say, that are watching the show now or later, I hope to see you there at PodFest, hopefully. Anyway, let's see. Anything going on in the chat on YouTube? Wilkes Family's in the chat, and let me see. Let me respond to them now there, and let's see. Anything going on Twitch? Nothing much on Twitch. Let's get back to Facebook. It's kind of quiet on Facebook tonight. I'm a little surprised, actually. Not much going on Facebook. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pour this wine. I'm just going to pour a little bit into the glass for starters. Now, this wine, first look, of course, this is in the studio lights, so it looks darker on camera in the studio lights than it actually is. But looking down into it, it looks like a light to medium body. Looks fairly light to medium body. And, of course, now, according to, I went to Winestore's site because that's where I purchased the wine. And according to them, that it's supposed to be a light-bodied wine, and it's supposed to go good with grilled meats and date night. So I don't know, but I can get the aroma from here. From here, I can actually smell the bouquet, and it's actually not bad. But we're going to give it a now. According to this bottle, it's supposed to have several fragrances in here. Let's see what we can pick out. Okay, yeah, it has some hints of a little hint of cherry, not real strong. It has some light aromas in it. It's not maybe a little blackberry, a few spices. You can smell like a few spices. I'm getting wine all over my few spices here. Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, the cherry is there. Definitely cherry. It does have a few oakiness, just a little bit, but it's kind of soft. It does have some tannins. I would say that it's medium tannins on it. And I was looking at which site was I on here? It's saying that it was rather tannic, but this doesn't. I think the tannins are sort of light to medium to me. It's yeah, I like the aroma. It goes down smooth. It has a very smooth finish, very smooth finish. But it's tannic. The tannins are there, but yet it on the tongue, it's smooth and it starts to go down kind of smooth. But then you can get the tannins in there, so it's kind of interesting. It's kind of an interesting mix. Rather dry. It's rather dry, which is I like dry. I love dry wines, and it's somewhat acidic. I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give it about a 6 for acidity, and which is okay because I tell you what, I had some spicy stuff for dinner tonight, so it's all right. It's sort of medium, not really really bold. It's kind of and I like some bold wines sometimes. It's sort of a medium bold. It's not the flavors are not that strong. It's how should I put it? It feels light in the mouth. I guess the way to put it is it feels light in the mouth, but going down, it's bolder when it goes down in the finish, and it's interesting. It's an interesting. Let me try that again. It starts off smooth and rather light, but then it finishes well. And the berries come up after in the finish. When you swallow, the berries seem to come up. You can get the berry flavor up more than in the beginning. You just kind of come up on you. I don't mean it's coming up. I mean it's you get the berry flavor that comes up at the finish. It's interesting. I like this. I like this wine. I like this Pinot so far. I think it would be pretty good for dinner parties or a date night. I guess that'd be all right for that. interesting mix. Like I said, it's this tannins. I would say they're soft. They've gotten a little softer as I've gone down into the bottle a little bit. Yeah, it's gotten a little softer. I want to say they're very floral, very floral, and maybe just a hint of raspberry too. Mixed cherry and raspberry, I think it's what I'm tasting that mix, along with a little bit of blackberry. Very interesting wine. I kind of like this wine. And Frosty's joining us in the chat. Frosty, it's great to see you. How you doing? Frosty, I think I was trying to get in touch with you about, because I believe I had something to send you from a few weeks ago. And I got a T-shirt or something. I have to go back and remember what it was. But I got to get in touch with you to get that over to you. I've had a couple of people. In fact, if Bill is joining us in the chat later, I haven't had enough of this yet. If Bill is joining me in the chat later, I've got I've got a package to get to you too, because you won some items on the Bill Horton won some items during the holidays, and we were giving them away in the chat, and I haven't heard back from you yet on where to send them to you. So when you get a chance, send me, if you're listening to this later, give me your shipping address so I can get those out to you. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to make it down to see everybody. When we go down to Orlando for Podfest, I'm not sure I'm going to have time to see people out and about around town, so I may not get to catch up with you there. So just in case, it's probably better if I ship it to you now. Let's go ahead and try this with some food. Now, this is supposed to pair pretty well with some grilled meats and some white meats. This Pinot, I think, should go pretty well with different white meats. And what I have here is I have a turkey. Let me show you my plate. I have some turkey. This is a roast turkey, not smoked. It looks a little smoked, but it's a roast turkey. I have here a grilled chicken, skewered chicken, that my lovely wife Chi made a couple of nights ago. I have some soft mozzarella. I forgot the brand. And then, of course, I have the Trader Joe's Gouda, the creamy Gouda, which is always good. It's gone well with several other Pinots, and I don't see why it wouldn't go well with this one tonight. A little bit later, we're going to go over part 3 of our series on presentation and wine presentation. So I'm looking forward to that in a little bit. And we'll get to that. We're going to do the birthdays. We're going to toast birthdays. I have a few birthdays to toast. And I hope some of the birthday people that I'm going to be toasting are going to be here in the chat later tonight. They usually are. Most of them usually are. Let's try it with the turkey. This is a good roast turkey. It's not too spicy. I like good turkey. Very flavorful. You don't have to try that again. I got caught up in the berry aftertaste on this one. Like I was saying a couple of minutes ago, when it first gets on the palate, this wine, it tastes really light, and then on the swallow, when it's going down, it's like all the berry flavors seem to just kind of go into your mouth. They just kind of, you can taste them all. They all just come up right then. So I think that I like this wine. I like the way this wine is. Let's try it with a little more of the turkey. Yeah, it goes pretty well. I think it complements the roast turkey very well, which is not a surprise, because I would expect this to go well with several white meats, turkey, chicken. I don't eat pork, but I think that's the other white meat they're talking about. Let's try the chicken. See how Now, this chicken's a little on the spicy side, but it's really good. Had some of it the other night. Chicken's good. Oh yeah, I like that. The grilled, because it's a grilled chicken. I like this. In the chicken, it says on a skewer, so it's easy to eat. I'll try some more of that. Try that again. Oh yeah, it complements the chicken very well. Brings out the grilled flavor of the chicken. Little smokiness, not much. I like that. I like that very much. Okay, that's a winner with the chicken. I think the next time we're having this grilled chicken, I'm talking to my wife now. Next time we make this grilled chicken, I'm going to have to get a bottle of this to go with it. You have to try this as well. It's a really good. Now let's try it with the soft mozzarella. This should go good with soft cheeses. A lot of these Pinots. It depends on the Pinot. Some Pinots they're very light, and then the medium ones, and then the ones that are very bold. On that end, they go better with different foods. This one should go pretty well with the mozzarella. And yeah, I like it. It's good with the mozzarella. And Phil has joined us in the chat. Phil, it's great to see you. Please, Phil, stick around for a while. We got some birthdays to celebrate. Please stick around. And we're going to try this with the creamy Gouda as well. And I think it goes well with the creamy Gouda. I really like this wine. I'm surprised. Oh, yeah. And as with all... Oh, yeah, I like that. It works well with the Trader Joe's creamy Gouda. And with... as it does with the other Pinots I've tried, that creamy Gouda has been a winner. And I expected no less from this Pinot, and I think that's good. I think this is a good pairing. It really is. So we're going to have a little bit more of this wine. Let's go right into the birthdays while some of the birthday people are here. I want to say, first of all, Lon, I know your birthday was Thursday, and we celebrated your birthday last week. We toasted you, but we're going to toast you again this week. I know Lon Snyder, your birthday was on Thursday. I'm going to toast you again. Here's to Lon. Happy birthday, Lon. Happy belated birthday at this point. And I have a couple more birthdays to celebrate, to toast. I want to toast my friend Jeffrey Powers. Jeffrey and I go way back for many years. As we both had podcasts on the Tech Podcast Network, and we have interacted and done some things, done some cross promotion with shows in the past, and contest stuff and things like that between our podcasts in the past. And Jeffrey's a good guy. He's quite a traveler too. He gets around. He's quite a guy. Anyway, and Jeffrey has done his own tech shows, and he did I think he's still doing it. It's This Day in Tech. I think he was doing a show about every day, whatever was. It's kind of a historical thing, and he's done a lot of. He's done his Geekazine. His Geekazine podcast and show has been running for many years. Jeffrey has done Geekazine. If you check out Geekazine sometimes, it's a pretty fun show. It's a pretty fun show. Learn a lot from Jeffrey and his shows. Anyway, here's to Jeffrey. Happy birthday, Jeffrey. Your birthday is tomorrow. Happy birthday. Here's to my friend Jeffrey Powers. And there's one more person who's special, and well, they're all special. Come on, everyone, all my friends are special. Okay, it's not how I meant to say it, but there's one more special person that I want to say happy birthday, and that is to my good friend Phil Bond. Phil, his birthday is Monday, I believe. Right? Is that right, Phil? Your birthday's Monday. And here's to Phil. Phil's a regular on the show. I see, he comes in and watches pretty much every week. I see him come into the chat every week. And Phil, I really, really appreciate you being here. But more and more than that, I appreciate you. And Phil's a good friend of mine. We go way back to WFL on our days at Channel 35. He's been doing teaching these years. Phil. I always liked Phil. He was just a pretty cool guy, and he was one of those people that when I was working at Channel 35, he was one of those people I always enjoyed talking with and being around, and he's just an all-around nice guy. Anyway, here's to you, Phil. Happy birthday. Here's to you. I'm going to toast you again, as a matter of fact. And happy birthday, Phil. This to you again. And I hope you have many, many more. How's your birthday going, by the way, Phil? What do you have any big plans? Big plans for your birthday on Monday? I hope you're going to be doing some sort of celebration. Have whatever it is, just do it responsibly. I know you will. You're a pretty smart guy, and you've got a good head on your shoulders. So I know you'll be fine. I wanted to find some anniversaries. I didn't see any anniversaries coming up this weekend, so I didn't have any anniversaries. I still haven't had enough of this, folks. I haven't had any anniversaries to celebrate, but we do have national days. And you know what? To start off with. Last week, as I told you all last week, I had a national day calendar. I purchased one of these things. This is where I get the national days. This is where we toast the national days, from nationaldaycalendar.com. And my friend Marlo Anderson, I want to give him a shout out, by the way. My friend Marlo Anderson, he is the CEO of National Day Calendar. And of course, this is used by all over the country. I know local radio station here in Rock Hill uses their National Day calendars for their daily show, their weekday morning show. And, of course, I use it for toasting national days. But he's the one who put it all together, and that's he's one that runs the website, nationaldaycalendar.com. They just put out the 2021, as I just... Well, I almost lost my wine. Hey, yeah, folks, you never know what's going to happen here on the show. No, I didn't break the bottle. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's good. My wife says, you've had enough. And they have. Anyway, so the national, this is big. It's big and bulky, folks. I got a lot of stuff here that you can't see that's on the desk, and so I just barely missed knocking all kinds of stuff over. Anyway, didn't miss that, though, didn't I? Of all the stuff to knock over, it would have to be the wine. Anyway, the National Day Calendar, this is pretty cool. I just picked up the 2021, and we've got one hanging on our wall in another room. And I had one more that I purchased that I wanted to give away on the stream tonight. And I actually was trying to give it away last week, but we couldn't get anybody to give it away to last week. So I tell you what, I'm going to pick someone, and I think I'm going to pick the birthday, one of the birthday guys here today. Phil, you getting a National Day calendar. I'm going to send you the 2020 National Day calendar, or is it National 2020 Day? It says National Day 2020 calendar. This is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and Phil, I'll tell you what, you private message me or email me a valid shipping address where I can ship it off to, and I'll get it off to you as soon as possible. Anyway, that's your birthday gift from me, Phil. Happy birthday once again. And And you know, if you're one of those people watching an hour later, if you're watching and you're saying, I never win anything, I never win any of those things, you never know, stick around, get involved in the chat. I do give stuff away, and you never know, you might be the next person to win something. Let's see, let me check Twitch here before we go on. Tommy Antio's in Twitch, and he says, how's the wine? And Cosmo wants to join you, I think. That's my son, Tommy Antio. The wine's fine. It's good. I think I managed to save it after it fell over. So, so the wine's fine. Anyway, let's see. Nothing going on here on Twitter, it looks like. And let's see. Things are kind of quiet on YouTube, so it looks like that's where the action is here on Facebook. All right, let's go ahead and toast the national days. I've been wanting to get to that, and then we have a couple more things we're going to cover. Where's my national day calendar? Here it is. January 17th was National Bootleggers Day, and it was also National Hot Buttered Rum Day. And it was also National Winnie the Pooh Day. That was yesterday, right? Friday the 17th? Who knew? National Winnie the Pooh Day. So here's the National Bootleggers Day, National Hot Buttered Rum Day, and National Winnie the Pooh Day. And I have a little short story about hot buttered rum. I like hot buttered rum. I haven't had it since I was a kid. Really, I have not had hot buttered rum since I was, 14, 15? Something like that. When I was a kid, my dad took me fishing on an overnight fishing trip with one of his best friends, and he took myself and one of my brothers. I can't remember which one it was right offhand. It might have been Mike or Tony, one of the two. Anyway, the four of us went on this overnight fishing trip. And I think we wound up going to I think we went to Jetty Park, if I remember right. I want to say it was Jetty Park. It was in Florida. And we were fishing out there. And you know what? It might have been, I think we went at one point Jetty Park. I think another point we went off a pier. We were on a pier or something. But we were fishing, all night fishing. And at some point during the fishing trip, during that evening, it was fairly cold, so my dad and his friend brought out the hot buttered rum, and they made some. They heated up some. They made hot buttered rum, and they gave me one. They had a hot buttered rum, and so I had my first. I had my first taste of hot buttered rum, of alcohol, back in when I was young. Yeah. So, look, my dad's passed on by now, so he can't get in any trouble for that. I think a statute of limitations ran out on serving minors alcohol by now, so I don't think there's any harm in telling that story now. But that was my hot buttered rum story. Let's see. Today is National Winnie the Pooh Day. That was today, because it's the 18th, January 18th. National Winnie the Pooh Day. I always liked Winnie the Pooh and the A.A. Milne stories, and I read them to my kids. My kids had Winnie the Pooh books, and they used to like the movies, the Disney Pooh movies and things like that. But I used to read them the stories, some of the original A.A. Milne stories. And they had a couple of other kids' storybooks of Winnie the Pooh. And as a matter of fact, I read them to my nieces as well when they were babies, Angela and Elisa, when they were babies. I used to read. It was one of my favorite things to do, is to read books to my nieces and my own kids. It was just a highlight of the evening. Everybody get ready for bed and sit back, and it was just kind of tradition for me to open up a storybook or two and read them a book. And sometimes I did during the day too, but lots of times it was a bedtime storybook. We did that. I read to them every night, just about every night. I think there was maybe one or two nights that I missed over the years because maybe I was sick or something. But for the most part, I always made a point every night to read a story, and they always looked forward to the story time. reading a book, and it was something that we all enjoyed very much, and something I do miss. Maybe one of these days I'll have grandkids of my own. I can pick up the tradition again, because it was a lot of fun and enjoyed it. Anyway, so National Winnie the Pooh Day. Let's see, National Thesaurus Day. Today's National Thesaurus Day. When was the last time you looked at a thesaurus? I use a thesaurus sometimes, occasionally, when I'm doing various things. When I do a lot of writing, I do a lot of blogging, I do a lot of writing, and I do a lot of stuff related to marketing and promotion as well, writing promotion material, marketing material, and things like that. So I will, from time to time, use a thesaurus. It comes in very, very handy. And so I'll drink to National Thesaurus Day. National Thesaurus Day. I think this thesaurus is. I love words and I love wordplay too. And Phil, you like wordplay, puns and bad dad jokes, just like I do. Something else Phil and I have in common. Thesaurus is good for that sort of thing as well. National Peking Duck Day. National Peking Duck Day. Okay. When was the last time I had Peking duck? When was the last time I had duck? I had duck, it's been a few years. But I think the last time I had duck, it was roast duck. Let's see, 18th is also National Use Your Gift Card Day. Well, there you go. Use your gift card. Or send it to me and I'll use it for you. How about that? You have any gift cards you haven't used? Here's the thing. Used today, you got another hour and 15 minutes, 14 minutes to use your gift card, National Gift Card Day. If you don't use it, send it to me and I'll use it for you. How about that? That works. I'll use your gift card for you. I'm joking, of course. But I mean, if you really want to send me a gift card, that's okay with me. You don't have to. January 18th is National Michigan Day. Should we drink to National Michigan Day? Oh, man. It is one of the 50 states, so why not? Anybody in Michigan drinking to National Michigan Day? Well, we'll drink to National Michigan Day. Let's see. Tomorrow is 19th. That's Sunday. National World Quark Day. National World Quark Day. I don't think they're referring to. I don't think we're referring to a character on Star Trek. I think a quark. A quark is. I don't even want to get into that right now, but. World Quark Day, National Popcorn Day. I can't eat popcorn anymore. I used to be able to eat popcorn. Someone, let's see, who was it? Todd Cochran. Somebody posted a picture of a box of Cracker Jacks, and I loved Cracker Jacks when I was a kid. Cracker Jacks was candy coated popcorn, peanuts in a toy. That's what you get in Cracker Jacks, right? Well, that really dates me. That goes back to the original commercials. But I used to love Cracker Jacks. They were fun. And, of course, the toy that was inside. I can't eat popcorn anymore. I used to love to eat popcorn. We just kick back with a movie or whatever. And I can't eat anymore. The doctor says I can't have popcorn anymore or corn products for the most part. So I've got to stay off the corn. He didn't say that I couldn't have corn derivative beverages, corn squeezins. He did not say I couldn't have that. He just said I couldn't eat corn. So, National Popcorn Day. National Cheese Lovers Day is 20th. That's Monday. January 20th is Monday, which is Phil's birthday. And National Cheese Lovers Day. It's National Butter Crunch Day. It's National Disc Jockey Day, and of course, it's National Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And you know what? I want to toast all those days. Let's toast all those days. National Cheese Lovers Day, National Butter Crunch Day, National Disc Jockey Day. Here's to those days. But I also want to have a separate toast for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I want to say here is to Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and here is to let's have this to fulfilling that dream and make it reality here. It's about being together, right? About everybody being one, and about us all being one nation, one people, one. Just put aside all of your differences. Put aside all of your I don't know. There's just so much strife in the world, and I don't want to get into a really serious discussion on this, but let's put aside all of our differences, whether they're political, whether they're religious, whether they're ideological, whatever they are. Put aside your differences, and let's try to be more. Let's try to be nicer to each other. Just try to be, as Bill and Ted would say, let's just try to be excellent to each other. It doesn't matter the color of your skin or your nationality or your ideology or your religion or whatever it is. Just love one another, love each other. That's the thing. Get along with each other, right? And that's what Dr. King taught, and that was what was his dream is basically everyone living together in harmony, right? Wine can help do that. Wine can help bring people together, and that's partly what this is about. Here's to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Anyway, let's see what else we have going on. And I think that's got the national days for now. I don't want to go too far down into the bottle. I think we're almost halfway there. So let's keep it light. Kind of like this wine. I do like this wine, by the way. Once again, we are drinking this Les Jamelles Pinot Noir, and this is a wine from. Okay, I picked this up from the Winestore in Blakeney. But you can pick it up in a lot of different places. I really enjoy this wine. Pretty nice. And I purchased it for $9.99. I've seen it online for as much as $15, but it is, for the most part, I think most of the other places I've checked, around the $10 a bottle range. So anyway, let's go to the next time I had on my list here was after toasting national days. And that would be the presentations. Last couple wine streams, I went into how important presentation was in marketing any product or in selling any product, and how important presentation was for first impressions for anyone buying anything or tasting anything. In this case, with a wine, it's no different from wine than anything else. But presentation is indeed important, and in the wine industry, they really place a lot of emphasis on presentation for the most part, in a lot of different ways, not just in the tasting and everything else, but even down into the bottling and how they design the labeling, the packaging, and everything that goes into the back label on the back end. There's a lot that goes into presentation to present their wine in a favorable light and in such a way that you'll want to try it, that you'll want to drink it, and that you'll want to love it. Okay. Now, we have talked in the past a lot about the different things in the industry that are, how should I put it? That sometimes you might feel manipulated about buying wine. Let me put it that way. There is some manipulation that goes on in the wine industry, just like there is in anything else. This is a product. Wine is a product. It's a food product, but it's a product like anything else. When you get into big business, they want to sell the product, so they will do whatever they can to try to sell it to you, to try to sell more of it to you, and try to put it in a very, very good light, so you will buy it. It's no different from wine. And yeah, there is a dark side to the wine industry, just like there is to a lot of other different industries. There is a dark side to it. But and most people they go into this to the supermarket looking at all the bottles of wine. They're pretty oblivious to what's going on or how they're being sold the wine. And this is not meant to be I'm not meaning to make this a negative thing on the wine per se. It's just if you want to buy wine, you just want to be a little more educated and be smart about it. So that's what I'm doing here with this series, is just trying to educate you a little bit, make you a little smarter about. You're already smart. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this, huh? To help you be smarter in your about purchasing wine and consuming it. So the first part we talked about how the difference between good and poor presentation on products, and including wine. And the last week we talked a little bit about the wine, some of the things that are a little manipulative or that are misunderstood by the consumer, by the consuming public, about wine ratings. We talked a little bit about, I mentioned Robert Parker, who he was a writer and a wine critic, who came up with a rating system, the 100-point rating system. The only thing is that 100-point rating system doesn't really rate wines and how good they are. It just kind of rates it on, and I don't want to go through all this, but you can go back and catch the previous wine stream for the details. But it talks about it's not what you think it is, the rating system is. And plus, it's a 100-point rating system, but it only rates from 50 points to 100 points. In other words, there's no rating that's below 50 points. If 50 points are below, it's not even drinkable. So it's a 100-point rating, but you really couldn't call it a 100-point rating because they're not really going on that scale from 1 to 100. They're only going from a scale to about 50 to 100. And really, if you want to talk about drinkable wines, it's only going from about 69 to 100. So that's hardly what I would call a 100-point rating system, but that's what it's called. It is what it is. And that's just my opinion, because I am not a professional, but that's just from my perspective and my humble opinion. That's what it is. Let's see. We're looking at Twitch here, and Aspie8675 is joining us in the chat. Hi, and he says hi from Burlington, Ontario, Canada. Hi, right back at you. Tell me what you're drinking, or would you like to be drinking, or would you like to see me drinking, and tell me how things are going with you. And I would like to hear from you. And thanks for watching. Thanks for checking in. I appreciate it. Anything going on YouTube? Let's see. Not much going on YouTube. Go back to Facebook. Again, Rob has joined us in this chat. Rob, it's good to see you in the chat tonight. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for being here. And tell me how you're doing as well. Anyway, going back to the presentation, let's start part 3 of the presentation here. And I gave a recap on the rating system, and that's what we're talking about. Tonight I want to talk a little bit about wine labeling. I'm not going to spend too much time on this tonight because we're going to try to keep it short and sweet. But I wanted to talk a little bit about wine labeling. And when it comes to labeling these wines, now, if you look at this, once again, this is the wine we're drinking tonight. This is the Les Jamelles Pinot Noir 2018. And, right offhand, what do you think of the label? It's if you look on the bottle and you have this, in the close-up, I don't have a close-up shot on it, but a little round button on the bottom is kind of a prime example of what I'm talking about. 20% glass, good for our planet, new eco-friendly bottle. To entice you to say, hey, this is an eco-friendly bottle, as if they don't have anything nice to say about the wine. Let's talk about the eco-friendly bottle. Maybe that'll sell more wine. But no, really, the wine itself is not bad. It's not a bad wine. I kind of like it, especially for the price point. It's actually pretty decent for the price point. So I would not, I don't know that they really need that label there to sell more wine with. It's just, I don't know that most people really care much about. Look, glass bottles, if they're recyclable, and most all glass is recyclable in some way or another, it's fairly. I would say it's fairly eco-friendly. If it's recyclable, I would say that's eco-friendly enough, wouldn't you? I think so. Well, let's take a look at a couple other things. Let me show you another example of a wine label. That's now this is Southern Belle. We had this quite some time back. This is a wine label that when you look at it first look, it's really, really busy. But there is, if you look more closely at this image, it really denotes, it's called Southern Belle. It really denotes, you get sort of a Southern, get it kind of has a Deep South kind of flavor to that label, doesn't it? It's designed to bring out a certain tone or a certain it gives you a certain feeling for. It kind of matches what it's called, Southern Belle. It denotes the Deep South in a way in that labeling. And at least to me, it does. At least to me. And of course, the fact that it's, 15.5% alcohol by volume is a high alcohol content. I would say that's a lot of alcohol. Now, I tried this, and I thought it was okay. I thought it was a pretty decent wine. High alcohol content, but a decent wine. Now, let's go to these. So let's take a look at these. These are three wines that I've had that are actually really nice wines. These are actually very expensive wines. The Caymus, this Caymus Vineyards 40th anniversary Caymus wine. This was $100. This was a $100 bottle of wine that I served on. I think it was Thanksgiving one year. And I had held on to it for a couple of years, and then I said I couldn't stand anymore. I had to drink it, but I drank it with friends, and we had it during a special occasion. I'll tell you, I want to say it tasted like a $100 bottle. It tasted like an expensive wine. It really did. What does a $100 bottle of wine taste like? Well, I'm not even going to go there right now. But for the most part, this label gives a look. It presents it presents the idea that this is a special wine, vintage, very very vintage wine. And if you look at the wine next to it, the Pinot Noir next to it, which was also a very good wine. I think it was about this was like $25 a bottle. I can't remember exactly what I paid for it, but I think I purchased that at Total Wine one year, a few years ago. That Pinot, if you look at the front, it looks like a certificate, doesn't it? It looks like an award of some sort. And the wine was good. It was very good, but it had this look of okay, this wine. It doesn't say it's won any awards, but the label itself looks like an award, doesn't it? It looks like a certificate of some sort. It looks official. And then the third one, the Chateau Perron, which, by the way, was a very, very good wine. That was I really quite enjoyed that, and I think I opened that too early. That looks like, you look at it and say, this looks like an expensive wine. From the label, it looks like an expensive wine. Well, that's what the labeling is about. And it's funny that a lot of people will collect wine bottles for the labels. In fact, I did a little search up here on Wikipedia on wine labels. And I didn't know this, although I should have. People collect paper wine labels. They'll take the wine labels, the paper labels off here, and they will collect the paper wine labels. Now, I can see the logic in that because there are people that will collect the bottles. I collected a lot. If you look behind me, I've collected quite a few bottles. Now, these were bottles of wine that I had last year, in the last 44 episodes. This is episode 45, by the way. I've had 46 bottles of wine here on this show, and this is from the first one to the one I'm drinking tonight right here. That's 46, 47 bottles, I think. Because I think one or two episodes we opened a couple of them, or one of them we opened 2 bottles. But some people will collect wine bottles. I know people that collect wine bottles because let's face it, when you drink that wine, you will never drink that wine again. It will never drink that same bottle of wine again. Each bottle of wine, each vintage is different from the last and from the next. So if there was a bottle of wine that you really enjoyed, or that you really savored, and you want to hold on to that bottle and keep it because you like the bottle, or it's a unique bottle, or a unique design, unique label, that's a wine you will never taste again. One time only. So some people do collect wine bottles. I've known people who do. My dad collected a few. He didn't fill the garage with them, but he collected a few. And I've collected a few more in the garage that my wife wants me to get rid of, I'm sure. But collecting the wine bottles, and you know what? There is a certain art to the design of wine labels and the wine bottles. But you kind of have to ask yourself, well, what's the intrigue in this? What's really the intrigue in this? It's all about presentation. Once again, when you see that label, if it's a really if the label entices you to buy that wine, like there are a couple of them. There's one back here, the 1448, and one right here, the Saldo. Let me pull that up. This one. This was actually a good bottle of wine, but if you look at the label, there's really nothing to the label. It looks like it was done with a Dymo label maker, right? For all intents and purposes, I think I can peel this off. I don't want to, but I think I can peel this off. For all intents and purposes, it was printed with a Dymo label maker, pretty much. That's all there is to this bottle. That's all. Well, there's a little thing on the back here because it has to. It has the information that the government requires them to have on this bottle. But other than that, that's it. And there are people that will buy it just because it has that kind of OEM look to it, that straight from the factory, direct from the factory, by bulk bottle look to it. I guess, for lack of a better word. So, some people like that, and appeals to some people, and then they'll buy the wine by the case. This is a kind of wine that you would expect some people would buy by the case. Now, this is not a cheap wine, by the way. It's not a really cheap wine. I mean, of course, it depends on what you consider cheap, but it's. What is it? $25 a bottle? I forgot what I paid for it, but it was not like a $5 bottle of wine or something. It wasn't a $2 chuck or anything like that. And yeah, I'm pointing behind me because there is a $2 chuck behind me. But for the most part, this is really there's really nothing like. You're gonna find this at a wine store. You're gonna find this at a couple of wine shops. But this is not the kind of bottle you usually find sitting on the front shelf at the supermarket because it's not the sort of thing that's going to stand out and say, hey, I'm a special bottle of wine. Okay? So there is a... and I'm going to have to finish this up because I'm getting kind of late on this, but I'm going to have to finish this up in a part 2 on this next week. But I wanted to show you a few labels, a few wine labels that kind of struck me that I thought were worth mentioning. And one of them, of course, the Grana Paso, the Grana Paso was one of the wines that I picked up at the when I went up to Boone last year, and around May, and it was sold to me saying that this is a really, really highly rated wine, great wine, really good. And it has a nice fancy label, and it looks like it is, wow, this is going to be a grand wine. It's Grana Paso, right? A reserve, right? Well, I opened it up. I opened it up on the wine stream. We reviewed it, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it. In fact, this was one of those bottles that I drank half of, and then I dumped the other half in the sink because I didn't like it. And now maybe I just got a bad bottle. It didn't taste corked or anything like that to me, but it was not. I did not like the wine. Didn't work with my palate at all. The label notwithstanding. Now, I have, on the other hand, I have, here's another one that I thought was interesting. This Massimo Rivetti. Now, you see that little tag on it, and this is one I picked up at Winestore some time back, and it was actually a decent wine. It was okay, it was a decent wine. I liked it, but there's this tag that they stuck on the bottle saying 91 plus points. Okay. That's all marketing. That's all marketing. That 91 plus is completely meaningless. Now, the bottle itself did not stand out to me. It didn't really strike me as anything special. I purchased it because I had a slight tasting of it in at Winestore once, and then I thought, well, I'll take a bottle to try it out on the wine stream. But if I had seen that bottle on the shelf just like this, not knowing anything about it, not having tried it or anything like that, I probably would have passed it up. I would have passed it up, to be honest, because I never would have, if it hadn't been recommended to me by Trish and Molly at Winestore, I never would have purchased this wine. If it had been sitting in among another 500 bottles of wine in the supermarket in the local Harris Teeter or something, I probably would have. It didn't. There was nothing in the label that really stood out that said, "Hey, I'm a special bottle of wine." But that was me. Now, the tag, not really. I'm not really that impressed with the tags, the 91 plus points on there, and I'll tell you why. Because look, I buy if you ever buy the Barefoot wines. And they always have the little labels on the front that say, "Oh yeah, it's in winner, winner 95 plus, 98 points plus," and stuff like that. Once again, it doesn't mean how good the wine is. Doesn't mean the wine is any good at all. I'll bet. No, not the $2 check. Look, the Barefoot wine's okay. It's okay. I've had a lot of the Barefoot wines. I've had the Merlots, the Cabs. I think I even had a white wine once, one of those, which I didn't care for that much. But I was drinking them because they were cheap. Didn't have any money. They were cheap. They were like $5 a bottle, and $6.99. I think they've gone up to $6.99, $7.99 a bottle. But Harris Teeter would run the specials 2 for $10, and I would buy those sometimes. I have kind of outgrown those. My palate's changed a little bit, and it's not. They're okay wines. They're okay for $5. If you're on a budget and you're just going to buy a $5 bottle of wine or $6 bottle of wine, it's okay. But it's not to me, it's not a winner compared to some of these other wines that we've tried and that we've tasted on the show in the past. I tell you what, there are at least 2 dozen, literally 2 dozen of these wines out there that could easily beat, maybe 3 dozen, 36 bottles, that could easily beat the Barefoot wine in terms of what I would prefer to drink over Barefoot. This Pinot Noir, as a matter of fact, I would prefer to drink that over that. So it's that whole point system is just it's just another label. It's just another label, and it's marketing hype. Ed's joined us in the chat. Ed, it's great to see you. He says, howdy, Rick, and howdy right back at you, Ed. How are you doing? How's Shelly doing, by the way? I'm looking forward to seeing you guys at Podfest 2020. Tommy and I might be a little bit late there because we got some late news yesterday that it looks like Tommy's taking a class right now, and his professor won't let him take off for that day to travel for Podfest, so we're going to have to leave late, and we're hoping we can still get there in time for the opening ceremonies and stuff, but it's going to be tight because we have an 8-hour drive from Charlotte to Orlando, so I don't know. Hopefully we'll make it in time, but we'll see you there. We should see you there. If you're going to be there at Podfest, I hope you will. Hope you and Shelly both will be there. We're looking forward to seeing you at Podfest. And I'm going to bring some more of these with me. I'll give you a few when we get down there. And let's see. Where was I going with this? Oh, yes, the wine labeling. Before I'm going to wrap this up real quick, and we'll continue this next week. But back to the wine labeling. This is one that I really like. The Don Ramon. And as a matter of fact, this wine is only $6.99 a bottle. It's $6.99, and I like the bottle. It's kind of a cool bottle in a couple of ways. If you notice up on the top, it has that what looks like a wax seal, like how they would, in the old days and back in the medieval times, they'd the king would stamp his wax seal on some kind of edict or something like that. That's what it looks like. It looks like one of those things, on the back of an envelope or something, and they'd seal it with wax. I guess in the days before they had the self-licking, or the stamps the envelopes that you lick, and even the self-licking envelopes, the self-sealing envelopes. I call them the self-licking envelopes. Anyway, that's what it looks like. It looks like like the old wax seal that they stamp on there. It's like that seal of official, of approval of some royalty putting his seal of approval on that wine, right? That's what it looks like, and psychologically, that's what you see that in there. There's something special about that wine. There's something special about it, and it's just a little plastic wax kind of thing. Part of it broke off on the one back here, but the funny thing about that wine, though, I go out and buy a bottle of it every week. It's become one of my go-to wines that I drink on my own during the week, with a burger or something like that. The Don Ramon is actually pretty decent wine. $6.99 for this bottle of wine, and it's actually pretty decent. It's a good grilled meat kind of, have a hamburger or something like that kind of wine. That's what I do. I have it with a burger, and last night I had some with chicken wings, believe it or not. And it's just a good inexpensive wine to pick up if you're just I'm just drinking it by myself, and I just pick it up, and it's fun. But but it has that look, it has that look that it is a special wine just because of that stamp on it, right? It's marketing, yeah. It's a little bit of bottle dressing, I guess you could say, a little bit of hype, okay? But to me, that is more effective. That I'd buy that before. I'd buy that before I'd buy the one that says 95 points on it, because I know the point system and I know how kind of bogus that is in a way. But in my opinion, but having that bottle, and there's one right behind me, right here, and that's something that I would buy. When I first saw it, first time I saw that, it intrigued me, and I thought, well, this must be pretty good wine. It was a pretty good wine. I liked it. I enjoyed it. And it was a gimmick. That little thing's a gimmick on there. I know that. But look, it's not any less, it's not even more gimmicky than putting, I'd say that's actually a little more, authentic than saying, looking at the Barefoot wine, saying, "Oh, 95 points." That to me is a little disingenuous. I think that's, to me, I trust that before I trust the 95 point or 98 point scale. I trust that before I would go out and get the one that's got the little tag on it, says 91 points. The point system really means very, very little to me. But that's me. That's just me. Now, you might be a little different, but to be honest, I would say don't buy a bottle of wine just because it has a tag on it that says, hey, 91 points. Now, of course, in the same vein, you could also say, well, don't buy a bottle of wine just because it has a little fake wax little thingy on it. So, touche. But, well, look, here are a couple other wines that this one I thought was rather attractive. The Hecula wine, the Monastrell. The Hecula wine I thought was pretty unique, an attractive label. I liked the wine. It was actually a good wine. But how much of it was just because the wine was good or because I already had my mind made up that the wine was going to be good because of the label? And that's kind of what I was getting at in the first part of this series, that some of this is psychological. You put together a really good label and you think that this wine is going to be great. So your mind is kind of made up a little bit before you even try the wine. Yeah, there's something to be said for that. There really is. Oh, by the way, Ed says, looking forward to seeing you at Podfest 2. Yes, Ed, I'm looking forward, my good friend Ed there. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see you guys there. Now, as far as the... there's one more. There are two more I want to show you. There's one more I want to show you. This, of course, is the one that we tasted a few weeks ago during the holidays. This is the 2018 Escarlata. Now, the Escarlata, which is really, really cool because this is a depiction of a battle. And I can't, to be honest, I don't remember because Matt was in here, Matt from Winestore, and he explained to me what it was, and I forgot again. But this is a painting. This painting is actually being licensed to them for about 10 years for the bottler for this wine, for this bottle of wine. And it is, I was fascinating with the painting. But look at this bottle of wine. When you see this bottle of wine and you see this classic painting on the front of it, it evokes a sense of this is a very expensive wine, right? Because you got this painting on here. This wine looks expensive. This wine looks special. And it doesn't say anything. There's nothing on this wine to tell you, there's no point system on this wine. There's nothing to tell you that it's 95 or 98 points or whatever. There's no other marketing hype on this wine. It's just that label with the painting and the name Escarlata and the year 2018. That's all there is to it. So it has that look of authenticity. It has a special look of authenticity on this wine. And that's what makes this wine seem special. And so when you open this bottle of wine, as we did, we opened it up on the show. Ed says it's the Battle of Sangiovese. I like that. The Battle of Sangiovese. I like that. It's funny. Once again, we open up the bottle of wine, and I did taste it, and I really liked it. I liked the wine. Now, when I initially purchased that first bottle, and I mentioned this before, I thought when I had a little tasting at the wine store, and I thought it had a lot of potential, but I thought it tasted a little young. I kept the bottle for some months on the shelf, and then I opened it up on the wine stream live, and I thought that bottle had matured somewhat, and I thought it tasted about right. I thought it was okay. It was a good wine. I liked it. But when you think about it, how much of that is the anticipation on my part based on what everybody else has said about how good the wine is or how good they thought it was, or the labeling on the wine, and how much of it was just genuine. I tasted the wine, and it was a genuine it was a genuine taste test, just on taste alone. I have to be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, I like the taste of the wine. It tasted great, but the thing is, my expectations had already been set by the bottle of the wine, by the labeling, and by the fact that other people had talked up the wine so much in the months preceding the time that I opened the bottle and reviewed it on the wine stream. Everyone else has said how great it was, and that sort of set my expectations. Now, if the wine had been really bad or something, and obviously it would have been, my expectations would have been dashed, but and I would have said so, but that wasn't the case. But even if it was a mediocre wine, if my expectations were set, how much of that would have been, oh yeah, this tastes okay, this tastes pretty good. And maybe it tasted a little bit better because my expectations had already been set. You know where I'm going with this? It's psychological. So there's a lot of marketing that goes into these wines. It goes into the bottles, and that's why some people will collect these wine bottles, because there's something special about the bottle or the shape of it. Or I have a Blakeney downstairs that is a few years old, and that came from it came from Ukraine. It's Ukraine wine, and I have not opened it, but I purchased this bottle. I paid about $30 for it, but I purchased it, and it was one of two bottles that was brought over from the Ukraine by the owner of the wine shop that I went to in Uptown Charlotte. He only had like 2 or 3 bottles of this, and he had opened one, and they really liked it, and then they decided to sell one of the other bottles. So I happened to go by there and I purchased it. But I purchased it. The thing is, I didn't purchase it because the wine was any good, because I hadn't tried it. I didn't know. I had no idea. I still have not opened it yet. The reason I purchased it was because of the bottle. It's a different shape. I'll have to bring it up here. Maybe the next wine stream. I'll bring it up there. It's a little bit oddly shaped bottle. And I thought the bottle itself was kind of unique, a little uniquely shaped. And for that reason, and because of the fact that it was from a wine from, I believe it was Ukraine, I thought, well, that's kind of exotic. And I thought it was worth spending the $30 just to have the wine on my wine bar. Now, maybe I'll drink it, maybe I'll never drink it, I don't know, but because apparently it's one of a kind here, so I better hold on to it. But the fact is that that's what it's all about. You see, look at this bottle right here. I don't know if you can see it up front. If you look very, very closely up towards the top of the bottle, there is, it's written in the top of the bottle, it says Les Jamelles. Of the bottle. It's raised. It's in raised glass. So you know that they spent a little bit more money on the bottle just to put that in. So there's something somewhat unique and special about it, and that makes it seem to be, whether it is or not worth more, it seems to have a little more value to it than maybe, say, a bottle of $2 Chuck, which just looks like a bottle of $2 Chuck. You see where I'm going with this? There's one more that I want to show you real quick, and this is from my friends Mark and Kathy. They bottle their own wine, and you can have fun. You can have fun. A lot of people have fun when they're making their own wines and they're bottling their own wines, and this is their wine. The wine they had, and it was actually a very good wine, by the way. It was actually a very good wine. I'm not going to read the back end of it because it's funny. I might do that another time, but not tonight. Anyway, so that was my part 3 on wine presentation. How presentation is important to selling you a bottle of wine. And we'll continue this in the next week because there's more to it than that. And there are a few things that I think that next week we need to cover a little bit about, poor presentation on wines. show off a little bit of that. Anyway, I'm going a little bit long. It's time to close up the stream now. I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight and sticking with me for the stream. I want to thank everyone who has. Oh, wow, GMTV has joined us in the chat. I got caught up into talking about wine labels. I didn't even get back into the chat. But let me catch up on this a little bit. Aspie 8675 says, she says, LOL, I am not a big wine drinker. I'm more of a cocktail girl, so I enjoy my traditional screwdriver or a killer Kool-Aid. I will go for a white Zinfandel once in a while. Nothing wrong with a white Zin. In fact, white Zins go good with a lot of different foods. I've had a white Zin last week, as a matter of fact, and it was actually very good. I actually enjoyed it, and white Zins go well with a lot of different foods, as well as red Zins. So, a white Zinfandel. I can go for a white Zinfandel every once in a while. Says, I'm fairly close to Niagara region. Lots of wineries available there. 40 Creek is quite close. 40 Creek, I think I've heard of that. Says, GMTV's in the chat, and great to see you, GMTV. I gotta say that again. I haven't had enough of this. GMT-TV, we're judging wine based on labels now. Well, not necessarily. It's just one aspect of it. I was talking about what we're talking about tonight was a part of a 3-part, actually 4-part series now on a wine presentation, how presentation is important for selling wine and for the psychological aspects of buying wine and drinking it. He says, Aspie says, the label is pretty much just a decor. Yes, a good-looking bottle might not represent the good taste of a wine. That is absolutely true. My uncle used to design and print wine labels for clients here in Ontario, especially at all stick label. That's good to know. That's pretty good. I bet you. Do you have a collection of wine labels? I know there are some people that do collect the paper labels, as I've heard, but I have never done that. But I have collected the bottles because I have a collection of bottles that I think are kind of cool that I like, and some exotic ones. I have one that's about this big, it's like 3 liters of wine in there. But there's some that are just kind of cool to have, just for show, display. GMT TV says, I remember when I was 18, I'd collect the bottles of whiskey I drank. Grew out of that, though. You know what? I know people who do that, who still do that and have done that. There are some whiskey bottles, and I'd say some rum bottles, and a couple of tequila bottles that I think are kind of cool looking. Just the bottles of there. But there are some beer bottles that I have collected in the past that I thought were pretty unique that I kept around just because I liked, not so much the beer was that good, and I don't really remember it, that was a long time ago, but I remember that the bottles were kind of cool. I liked the bottles. And there are people that just collect the bottles. There are people that collect mason jars. I don't get that, but to me a mason jar is a mason jar, unless of course it has moonshine in it or something, and I've handled a few that have, but I'm not going there now. But there's some bottles. There is I'm going to go late on this. There is a real art to making bottles, to glass making in general, glass blowing and glass making, but bottle making. There is an art. It is an art form. It really is. And there's some bottles that you get and you say, this is definitely a keeper. I'm going to put this on a shelf or fill it with something else, sand or some colorful liquid or lights. I know on, it was a couple of websites that people would make art. They would make decorative bottles. They would take old wine bottles or different kinds of bottles, and they would put lights in them, LEDs and stuff, and light them up from inside. And that was kind of cool. I saw some of that, and they were selling some of it. I think on Amazon you can get light strings that are specifically designed for putting in and lighting up inside empty bottles. So there's a lot to it. People collect a lot of different things, and nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Anyway, I went off on another tangent, didn't I? So anyway, it's time for me to close up the stream tonight because it's getting late, and I think it's time to cap this bottle. Once again, tonight we were drinking the Les Jamelles. This was the Les Jamelles Pinot Noir 2018. It's actually a pretty decent wine. I kind of liked it. I really enjoyed this wine, and I'm probably going to pick up another bottle of this very shortly. I think this really goes good. We tried it with it's supposed to go good with white meats, and I think it did with the white meats we tried. I tried it with a roasted turkey. I tried it with the chicken. My wife's grilled chicken, skewered. She does a really fantastic job on these. So I don't know how much of that pairing, that perfect pairing that I had was the chicken, how much was the wine. I think a lot of it was the chicken. But it was a good pairing, and I think the next time she serves that, I'm going to make a point to have one of these, a bottle of this around for that. I paired it with the cheese. It goes pretty well with the Gouda, the creamy Gouda for Trader Joe's, and a soft mozzarella. That worked okay with that. I'm not surprised because a lot of the Pinots will go pretty well with the soft cheeses. That's okay. But it worked pretty well with the food that I had here tonight. $9.99 a bottle, I think, from Winestore-online.com. I think I've seen it for about $15 a bottle online, but I think most of the place, I think wine, it was Total Wine, I think, had it for about the same price, about $10 a bottle. So I recommend this wine. You got to try it. It's actually pretty good wine. I do recommend it. Now, if you don't like Pinots, if you don't like reds, if you're like like Aspie, and you're not really into red wines, if you stick with the white Zinfandels, I've got a couple of recommendations for Zins and a white Zinfandel there. Maybe we'll open one next week. That might be a good idea. So come back next week, ask me, and we'll see. Maybe I'll open up a white Zin, and we'll try that. Because there are a couple that I've tried that I have enjoyed quite a bit that you might be interested in. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for being with me tonight. I want to thank you. I want to personally thank my wife, Chi, of course, Frosty, in the chat. Thanks for joining me. And Phil, of course, once again, happy birthday, Phil. Thanks for being with me tonight. Toast to you again. Rob, thanks for joining me in the chat. And Ed, of course, always great to see you in the chat. And, of course, let's see, Tom Antio, my son, Tommy, and Aspie, E675, thanks for being in the chat, and join me here again next week. GMT TV, I've been here a couple of times. Please, it's great to see you too, and join me again here next week. Riddle Plays has joined in the chat as well. Riddle Plays, thanks for joining in, and I appreciate you being here. Look, this show, once again, is not about me. And it's only partly about the wine, but what this really is about, it's about us. It's about you and me. It's about all of us getting together and just enjoying the wine, having a good time. And even if you're not drinking wine, whatever you're drinking, just getting together, having a good time on a Saturday night, on the Saturday Night Wine Stream, and just kicking back and relaxing and just having some fun. And this is a stream of consciousness show. That's what it's all about. Of course, once again, you can contact me if you want to contact me later. Drinkwithrick.com, that's the website. Rick@SavoyaMedia.com is where you can reach me if you want to email me for anything. Send me some feedback. Send me some wine. That's fine. And I'll review it. If you have a bottle, if you're a vintner, if you want you're interested in having me try one out to review on the show, I'll do it. Send me a bottle of wine and I'll give it a fair review. Fair review. Okay, that's what I do. And of course, you can catch the podcast Drink with Rick podcast after the fact. We're all over the net, and you can catch it on Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, we're here every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. I hope you'll join me again next week for the Saturday Night Wine Stream. I want to say I hope you have a great week and have a safe week. Don't drink and drive. Please do not drink and drive. Don't text and drive, because, that's a sore spot with me too. Please do not text and drive. It's extremely dangerous. But have a safe week. So you can all join me again next week on the Saturday Night Wine Stream, and we can all get together and drink with Rick. Good night.